Liverpool won, Aston Villa won, and the result that effectively ends Liverpool's Champions League hopes for next season. It was a game that Liverpool absolutely had to win. We had to win against Aston Villa, and we had to win against Southampton away next weekend to give ourselves of any chance of getting Champions League. And although it looked unlikely right from when we started going this run 7 games ago that we were going to get Champions League football, but we put ourselves in a position to do so. But effectively, we just left it too late. I mean, we should have started winning games, going on a run much sooner if we really had a realistic chance of getting top 4. But Man United beat Bournemouth as well, and Newcastle need to get 1 point in the next 2 games. Effectively, we're not going to get 71 points, and Europa League football is probably what we deserve at the end of the day, because if you look at it, from all the games we played this season, 9 draws, 9 losses, that's too many. That's too many if you really want to be playing Champions League football. And ultimately, Villa came to Anfield and they were the better team. For 70 minutes, Liverpool did nothing and Aston Villa were the better team for the most part, I mean, obviously, going into the game, I was talking about the fact that we're going to be saying goodbye to a lot of our players. We'll pay homage to them. There'll be a little thing for them at the end of the game. But really, I think a lot of people, and I don't like this about Liverpool, is that when I expect Liverpool to win, they always fall short. And Jurgen Klopp's side has, especially in recent years, has bucked that trend a little bit, because I expect them to lose or draw, and then they still win. Especially when we won the league, when we ran Man City really close last season as well, when we almost won the quadruple. This Liverpool side always, it's turned me from a doubter to a believer. However, this season we've kind of reverted back to type. And I come into this game, I know Aston Villa are really good, but I did expect us to win today and against Southampton next weekend to give us a chance, an outside chance of getting top 4. And that's all it was at the end of the day, because we have not been good enough this whole season. But credit to Villa, they were the much better team. And at the beginning of the game, it was very tight and tense. I mean, Villa were passing it out the back, and I thought maybe that was a bit of a mistake because of the fact that we were pressing them quite well. But a few times they found themselves beating the press and running onto our midfield. And it was always going to be that space that Trent vacates on that right-hand side of our defence when we convert to a 3 and a 2 to try and build up from the back. And Ollie Watkins was kind of playing, he was hugging the left-hand side a lot more to try and make use of that. And there's a couple of times when Martinez got the ball and he was trying to look to play Watkins into that space. McGinn, who I thought was really good, getting the ball in midfield, playing it out behind Kanata, and Watkins was on the shoulder. And ultimately, that's where it hurt us at the end. But before he even got to the goal, the penalty, which I thought was not a penalty in real time, and I saw it slow down, and I was like, okay, technically it's a penalty, but it is so soft, and Watkins is looking for it. But if the referee gives the decision, VAR aren't going to overturn it. But if the referee doesn't give it, VAR aren't going to overturn the referee's decision either. So it's in the grey zone, it's in no man's land, and at the end of the day, thankfully, Ollie Watkins misses anyway. And I'm not sure if what got to him, if it was just the fact that the crowd got into his head, but he missed, and I thought, oh my god, that's incredible for us, what a reprieve, because that should be the wake call after that. But then Villas do score, and they do take the lead from Jacob Ramsey, and it was poor. It was really poor. And we've conceded too many goals this whole season. And apparently I saw something that it's Klopp's worst defensive record since he's been at the club, which is outstandingly bad because of the fact that when he first came in, the defenders we had and the problems we had, we always said to ourselves, right, we need to sort out the defence. And bringing in Fabinho, bringing in Van Dijk, bringing in Alisson, that was to shore up the defence, and it did. Bringing in Robertson, a left back, all of this was to shore up the defence. But now we've kind of reverted back to that, and we're so poor defensively. And it comes from the third phase of play from a set piece, which, can happen. But I did expect us to defend a bit better. Obviously, people can talk about the fact that no one's pressing the man, putting the ball into the box. But I think it's quite unlucky because Curtis Jones gets hit with the ball in the second phase of play. The ball rebounds back to the Aston Villa player. And because he's a bit startled and taken aback, he can't then go and press where he should be. But the thing is, no one else does either, and that's the issue. No one else in the team is picking that up, and then the ball gets played in the back post. I'm not sure Trent even knows if the man is there, which is the issue. Because if he knows he's there and he doesn't defend it well, I'm kind of okay with it, because you kind of go, okay, fine. You got to take the good with the bad. Trent, his offensive play is amazing, but defensively, he's going to be a liability sometimes. But the issue is, I don't think he even knows it's there. And when you don't even know if the player's there or not, that's worse than just bad defending. That's just being completely oblivious and unaware, and not being aware of your surroundings. And as a defender, I'm a right back myself, but it's not good enough. It's not good enough. And I think Trent actually gets drawn into the player in the middle, and he just doesn't check his shoulder. And he does it too often. He doesn't check his shoulder, and teams know it, and they target it. But then we carry on, and the first half ends, and Aston Villa are the much better team. At this point, I do want to mention the referee, because I don't like talking about referees, because it kind of feels like I'm making an excuse for a team's bad performance. However, I fully acknowledge Liverpool was poor. We were really poor. No shots on target. Didn't deserve anything. But the referee was awful. I don't know his name. I've seen him all the time, but I don't know his name. I try not to focus on referees, but awful. And it was the constant wrong decisions. It was the lack of consistency. It was the fact that he just wanted to be the pantomime villain at the end of the day. And ultimately, I don't think the referee caused us not to win this game. Well, actually, no, I do. I do think the referee caused us not to win this game. And again, I'm trying not to make it sound like it's excuses, but if you give the Ollie Watkins penalty, you've got to give the Henderson penalty. And I don't think the Henderson one is a penalty, but I also don't think the Watkins one is a penalty. So that means if you're being consistent in one game, if you give Watkins, I think you have to give Henderson. Even though Henderson is looking for it and the contact is light, that's also this more or less exactly the same situation with Watkins. He was looking for it and the contact was light. So what do you do? Because if that was in a different situation, Liverpool counter-attacking, and it was only McGinn and Henderson in that situation, would you give the penalty? Maybe. He does. But because of the fact that it's Aston Villa defenders are back, Liverpool are kind of attacking, trying to break him down, and it's kind of like always playing for it. But Ollie Watkins was playing for it on the other side. And again, I want to be clear, we should have done better, but for consistency purposes, the referee needed to give that a penalty if Watkins was a penalty. That might be controversial, but that's just my opinion. And then also, the one where Ming stamps Gakpo. Now, I've tried to think of an explanation of why the ref didn't give that, and I'm like, okay, he has won the ball. Technically, he has won the ball. He's got his toes there, but it's a follow through. And I know you shouldn't slow it down. You shouldn't look at stills. However, Mings' foot goes fully through the ball and then into Gakpo. His leg is fully extended, and at no point does he slow down in his motion. So he doesn't get the ball and then slow down and look to pull back. Obviously, he's trying to do that, but after he makes contact with Gakpo because he knows he's committed a foul. And one thing which I thought was quite interesting, if Gakpo went for that ball with his head, which he would be completely entitled to do so, would the referee have sent him off? Yes. But the fact that it's in his chest, in his sternum, wherever, the referee decides to give it a yellow. But then the VAR have a look at it and they decide not to give it as a red card. They don't even advise the referee to go and have a look. And I'm just like, oh, that is an appalling decision, because Mings should be off. And Mings was actually Aston Villa's best player. I think he's arguably man of the match, because he was getting his head on the end of everything, he's clearing everything, marshalling that defence. And they were impeccable defensively for most part up until the very last 10-15 minutes. But he should have been off. And that's the end of the day. And he would have gone into half-time. He probably wouldn't have looked at it. But if he did, he'd go, crap, I got away with one there. And he probably knows it as well, because he should have been sent off. And again, it was a appalling decision. But yeah, again, credit to Aston Villa, because they're the ones who frustrated Liverpool. They made it incredibly difficult. It was the fact that it felt like they were very narrow and compact, which made Liverpool play very narrow as well. And I'm crying out for width, and I really wanted Diaz and Salah just to stay a bit wider, because everything was kind of played in the middle third of the pitch. No one was going out wide and trying to spread the Aston Villa defenders to try and create pockets of space in the middle. And everything was so congested, and this is actually what Aston Villa wanted. So you go in at half-time and you think to yourself, right, you expect Jurgen to put a rocket up their ass, because that was poor. That was really, really poor. And it's one of those where I'm actually probably glad Jurgen wasn't on the sidelines, because if he was, I think he would have gone ballistic on the fourth official, the referee, and he probably would have got himself a ban. I mean, how funny would it be if, after getting a ban and a fine, that the FA now have to come out and apologise to Liverpool because some of their decisions were just dreadful, just plain dreadful. And then Liverpool come out in the second half, they do alright. Gakpo's offside goal. So, my issue is, again, with the referees, and again, I do have to say, I don't like talking about referees. Liverpool were poor for the most part today, but I don't understand the offside rule anymore. And the replays weren't great in the fact that I wasn't sure what I was looking at, but they need to sort this out for next season, and I think they just need to change. They need to be a bit more transparent, or there needs to be more of an explanation when offsides are going on, and say, this player's offside, this is why they're offside, and then let fans debate that rather than being like, oh, I think it's for this, or no, I think it's for that. I still don't fully understand why the goal is getting offside, but it's given offside. So, and then Liverpool didn't really up the game until they brought on the changes. Until Jota came on, until Milner came on, until Tsimikas came on, Elliott came on, and I thought we looked a lot better when the subs were made. And Firmino most importantly, as you know, he comes on with the goal. But Villa were just really hard to break down. The fact that the midfielders were dropping back into the defence and playing effectively a 6, so there was no space for our two wide players to try and exploit anything. And they were really quiet, and most of our shots we had were just going straight to Martinez's hands, and we really weren't doing much at all. And then, apart from the last 15-20 minutes, where we are just pounding crosses into the box, and it's cross after cross after cross, and just getting the head onto it, and we're kind of making some headway, and Tsimikas takes a couple of corners for us from the left-hand side, and it's corner after corner, and we're getting there. But really, it's a bit of beautiful skill and well-worked play from Salah to play the ball into Firmino. And I'm going to miss Firmino so much, because he managed to score in the little time he was on the pitch, in which Salah, Diaz and Gakpo didn't manage to do anything. And I've seen some people now saying that, we shouldn't really be selling Firmino because are the rest of them pulling up trees? And the answer is no, they're not. But Firmino wants to leave, and he's unsure of his own game time, and he wants to go on to his next adventure, so he can't really force him to stay if he doesn't want to. I'd love to keep him for longer, but you can't force him. And then you go into extra time and think to yourself, come on, 10 minutes to score a goal, but it just doesn't work out for the Reds today. And that game effectively ends our chances of getting Champions League football, although, like I said, it looked incredibly unlikely we were going to get it anyway. But yeah, and the celebrations at the end, Firmino getting clapped off, his song being sang, I think he deserved it. He thoroughly deserved it, and it was obvious it was going to be him scoring the goal. It was almost written in the stars. But I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss James Milner. Keita Knox less so, but I wish them the well for the future. But now let's end the season on the high. Let's beat Southampton. Look ahead to this summer window, and next season where hopefully we can be a bit better.